Bada boom, bada bing. Peter Pan, Stephen King. Hello, it's me. Oh shit, they all fell in and they didn't fall out. Amazing. Look at those little jar boys go. Absolute chads. Hello, it's me. We're making spells today. Oh, this is quite loud. I'm gonna turn this down. Thing in my way. There. There we go. This is a little bit too loud. But hello. It's me. I return. We're doing sort of a wind down kind of stream from doing Paladin for the last several weeks. I was going to pull this down. It's too bloody bright. Hang on. Whoop. There we go. Now it's too dark, but oh well. It's nice and sunny out there, but it's a bit of a bastard, really. Right. Could do that maybe? Nah, it doesn't really change anything. Could do this? No, that doesn't do anything either. Either way, we're making spells today. I have like a list of ideas that I want to try and realize, or start realizing anyway. A big old list. Okay, right. I have a spell I want to start with. And it is called Death Throw. I'm not sure what level. Nope. Right. Should probably be verbal, somatic. Oh no, hang on. Range, probably 60 feet. It's probably for wizards. Warlocks should definitely get it. Let me go read, like, Hellish Rebuke, just to see if I'm, like... I'm gonna just go read Hellish Rebuke and make sure that I'm wording this properly. I take, oh, the audio isn't working. That's good to know. My audio is, but, there, you should be able to hear the music now. Makes things a bit better. Right. Where is Hellish Rebuke? Crawl up to its speed. Oh, hang on. Oh, something has gone wrong. Oh, there we go. Right, this is a very weird spell, but I do actually really like it. So, when something dies, you know, you flick your wrist and they very briefly animate. The first one is they crawl along the ground, which is terrifying. The second one is they attack. This is the complicated bit. So, normally the attack does 1d6 plus your spellcasting ability modifier bludgeoning damage. Or if the target is holding a weapon, or has suitable natural weapons such as sharp fangs or claws, the target uses those weapons to determine the damage, but still uses your spellcasting ability modifier. Just be may use those weapons to determine the damage, but still uses your spellcasting ability modifier rather than its own damage bonus. Regardless, on a hit, the attack's target takes 2d6 necrotic damage. So, this is, like, it's pretty okay. And then you can grapple a creature with this as well. Honestly, I think this is probably that. And this could legitimately be a first level necromancy spell. I don't think it's particularly good. Hang on, I might do that. And then do at higher levels. No, whoops. Could be 2d4, which is very crunchy scaling, but I don't know. No. Realistically, you're never going to cast this higher than 5th. Yeah, there's like 22 damage. Plus 3.5. Plus 5. Yeah, honestly, kind of like this. Hang on, I think I know. A medium or smaller creature within range, dropping to 0 hit points or dying. Maximum size creature you can target with this spell increases your gain levels, increasing by 1 size category. Let me go read spiritual weapon real quick. Every 2. So at 3rd level you can get large creatures, at 5th you can get huge creatures, and at 7th, if you spend your 7th level spell slot, you can get a gargantuan creature with this, which I think is fair. I think popping your 7th level spell to be like, we just killed, you know, say you're fighting like 2 horned devils or whatever. You know, or you pop your 3rd, you know, you kill a horn devil, and the horn devil's like, oh yeah, in its last moment, it stabs with its pitchfork at the other horn devil, or whatever. I don't know if this spell is very good, but it seems really fun. I think is the main thing. It needs a second read through. I definitely need people to take a look at it before I put it in my home game. But I really like this. This is really cool. I kind of like the component is electrodes, so I was quite happy with the fact that I came up with that. It's like the old experiments they did where they like put an electrode on the head and one on the foot, and the whole body would kind of jostle around. They mostly did it with like fish and frogs and stuff, but some real weird people did it with actual human corpses because the 1800s were very strange. There was something in the air there. I mean, there actually was. It was definitely lead poisoning going on there. Or some kind of toxic fumes were inside people's general sort of brain area. It was not a good time for them, I don't think. Now, another spell idea I had is called Gamma Burst, which I do really like, because it's a very sciencey spell. I like it. I do like sciencey spells that you can go, oh yeah, this is how this works. It's based on a gamma ray burst. I think there's a thing the sun does where it fires two big old beams in opposite directions, and anything caught in those beams does not have a good time. Is more or less the shtick here, so to speak. Now, let me just go check something real quick. So I feel like this should be a relatively high-level spell, but I don't want to step on Sunbeam's toes, Like, Sunbeam is very specific in what it does, but, I feel like a 7th level spell might be in order, Like a big 7th level spell. We've not really made one before, I don't think. Sunbeam... It also sits very comfortably between Sunbeam and Sunburst, though I'm not actually sure what Sunburst does. I don't think I've ever read it in my life. What does it even do? 60-foot radius... Not much radiant... Oh, it blinds in a big AoE, okay. It's still not particularly good, but, what's Sunbeam? I think, yeah, Sunbeam is just a repeatable line, right? Yes. So, Gamma Ray Burst is a 7th level evocation spell. 1 action, range of self, verbal somatic material. I think we can just have verbal somatic here, I think. I'm picturing, a guy going, like, getting low and kind of pushing his arms out in either directions, and just 2 big old beams coming out, because that's, you gotta think about spells in, like, a visual cinematic fashion, right? How is somebody gonna cast this spell? Like, I'm thinking death throws for somebody who has, like a component pouch. They will literally pull the electrodes out and, like, throw them out, and they'll, like, magically attach themselves to the target. Which sounds really cool, so I'm on board. Verbal Somatic, it's instantaneous. Now let's look at Sickening Radiance. What classes get Sickening Radiance? Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard, that seems sensible. Oh. Something went wrong there. Oh, right, okay. You fire 2 beams of intense, radiant light. In 2 opposite directions. Away from you. Both beams are 15 foot wide. This is a big line. 90 foot long lines stretching in opposite directions away from you. Any creature caught in one of the areas must succeed or must make a Constitution saving throw. On a failure, a creature suffers. This needs to be like big boy damage, right? Mix of fire, mix of, yeah, kind of like the flame strike kind of thing, where it's a little bit of radiant, a little bit of fire. And I'm thinking, I'm thinking, right? Because gamma radiation penetrates, so it does not matter if you know it's going to do guaranteed radiant damage no matter what. I think they're going to save against a boatload of fire damage, and then take a decent chunk of radiant damage no matter what. Because I think that's really cool. And it's a con save, because normally line spells are deck saves, like Lightning Bolt and stuff, because you can dodge a Lightning Bolt. You can't dodge radiation. Radiation moves, like, you know, very fast, generally speaking. I don't think it moves quite at light speed, but it moves pretty fast, you know? Like, I don't think one could outrun a gamma ray burst, you know? Just a, you know, assumption. On a failure, a creature suffers 50 foot wide, 15 foot high. And 90 foot long line. On a failure, a creature suffers 10d10. No, that's too much. Too much. 8d10. No. 4d12. I like the d12s. The d12s makes it feel bigger. Well, let's actually go and look at, like, the damage of a 7th level spell. Let's maybe go and look at that. That's probably a good idea. What good 7th level spells are there? It's probably a good... Right, let's look at the spell damage table from the DMG. 7th level spells, multi-target, should be doing approximately 12d6 damage, which is fine. So let's any dice this bitch. $40-12. A creature on a failure. A creature suffer. It could be 5, maybe. Hey, I need to put my output 12d6. Okay. I'm just doing some maths real quick. Don't mind me. On a failure, a creature suffers 40-10 fire damage, or half as much on a success. Regardless, a creature in the area suffers... Regardless, a creature in the area suffers 3d10 radiant damage. That is cool. That is really cool. I really like that. I'm going to be at higher levels. When you cast this spell using a spell slot of 8th level or higher, both the fire... spell slot level expanded above 7th. Now that is some scaling. That is very nice. You're scaling by a guaranteed 5 every time. Let's actually see how it fares. That's a very nice damage spell. 6d12 plus 5d10. What are we looking at there? About an average of about 67 odd damage, I think. Yeah, about 66, 67 damage, which is respectable. You know, it's nothing to write home about. It's but it's also not, you know, completely fucking pointless either. Like, it covers a big area, like a very, very big area. So I think this spell is very simple, but I really like it. I think that spell's really cool. It's very evocative, I think, is probably the best word for it, so to speak. Gamma Burst, you throw your hands out in opposite directions and just two big old beams. That's cool. I like that a lot. I need to write down these spells to mark up later on. Because I need to go write them elsewhere. Because I have a separate doc for I have several separate docs for all this shit. You can only add like several hundred spells to the game before you need to really start keeping track of them. So I know I'm well over 300 at this point. That much I know for a fact. Actually, let's go take a look. There's probably like an actual like number I can look at. 343 is the number of spells I've written for the game. There were a few misses. Most of them were in the first archive though, which I've since updated. Update of which comes out tomorrow. 12 PM BST. Which is an awkward point because clocks have only just gone forward in the UK, like they did like 2 days ago. So fuck knows what that is anywhere else. I couldn't tell you. Maybe it's closer than it was before. Maybe it's further away. No fucking clue. Because most other folks either don't do daylight saving time, or have already done it, or haven't done it yet. And I don't fucking know. I need to write these bloody things down. Death throws, Gamma Burst. Right, let's put them there. That'll do. Now, got a couple mass spells I thought about. Namely, Mass Revivify and Mass Modify Memory, which both sound very fun. They're both exactly what they say on the tin as well. Like, I may do Mass Revivify first, because Mass Revivify is probably the simplest of the two, because Revivify is a very simple spell in and of itself, and a Mass Revivify is, you know, Mass Revivify, 7th level, Necromancy, 1 action, range 60 feet, or probably range, range 60 feet. Now, let's take a look at Revivify. Diamond's worth 900 gold pieces, which the spell consumes. Clerics and druids, because druids get Revivify now, as of Tasha's, so don't forget. Most indexing services for like spells and stuff don't generally list them properly, but so make sure you read Tasha's and go look and make sure that you have that you're making use of your class's spell list, because a lot of the classes get a lot of really good spells. Like, rangers get Revivify now. Like, who knew? Rangers could have good spells. I didn't know that was a thing. Did you? I sure as fuck didn't. God, rangers getting good spells. That's a mission of mine at some stage, is to... I've made a few. There's like Hunter's Prowl, which is in Archive 1, is a very good spell for rangers. It's a 3rd level bonus action. You double your speed, you become invisible, and all your attacks do bonus damage until the end of your next turn, and it's not concentration. It's a very, very good spell. I don't think it's even if it is concentration, it's still very good. Hunter's Prowl. Until the start of your next turn, sorry, so it's one turn, but basically you just you go invisible and just zip off somewhere. It's a very, very good spell. Right, Cleric Druid. Let's get the old text for Revivify. You create. Yeah, let me look at a wave of revitalizing energy, breathing life into the recently deceased. Choose any number of creatures in a 30-foot radius sphere centered as long for each creature, as long as that there. So just bam, big AoE, everybody comes back to life. Very niche in its usefulness, given that it is a 7th level spell, and still has the 1 minute kind of thing. But suddenly in like a warfare situation, right? Like a whole platoon of soldiers just got hit by a fireball, right? And they're all fucking dead. You go, wham, mass revivify, whole platoon of soldiers is now alive again. This is magic for war, not necessarily magic for like, a 6-on-6, combat. Like your party against the necromancer and his horde of, 15 zombies or whatever. Like this is not for that situation, and is thus the kind of spell. This is a DM spell, realistically. This is something that you give to the enemy cleric when you make it so a fight has like 2 high-level clerics in it. One of them casts Mass Revivify, and the other one immediately casts Mass Cure Wounds, and like they all regain like 1,000,000 hit points, or Mass Heal or something if you really want to up the ante. That would be very mean. That would be very mean. Or they have like a whole slew of minions or something. They have like 20 minions in the small spaces. Like bam, all the minions are back to life, full efficiency because they're minions. They have 1 hit point. Any number of those things is very cool. This is a spell for DMs, and DM spells are always very good fun. Except the ones that very specifically just aren't. But you can usually pick those out because they're the spells that say, "Hey player, you stop playing the game now, please." and that's some pretty horseshit design. I tend to avoid them as much as possible. Unless it's a very fast-moving combat, spells like Banishment and Hold Person are spells I just do my best to just never cast, because it doesn't matter how good they are. They're just like, you just point to somebody at your table and tell them to stop having fun, and they roll a dice, and if they roll badly, they stop having fun. I think the most grievous offender is Mind Flayer Mind Blast. Because, yeah, AoE stun, cool, on an int save too, the most dumpable of all the stats, intelligence. Like, unless you're a wizard, you have literally no reason to take intelligence in any capacity. Like, or like, unless you're a class that uses intelligence, you don't need to take it. You never do, and you never will. Because it's all for flavor. Like, strength is mostly useless, and is generally what people dump instead. But strength has more gameplay impact than intelligence does, on a combat basis, at least. Outside of combat, if you count that as well, strength easily loses to intelligence. But in a combat basis, intelligence is completely worthless unless you are an intelligence caster, upon which you don't need me to tell you that intelligence is useful. And if you do, then yikes. You should read the rulebook. Or not even that, just watch a fucking video. But yeah. Mass Revivify. That's kind of good fun. I think it's kind of neat. I'm just looking through my list. I think I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the cantrip Age. This will be a transmutation cantrip. Dunamancy. No, I need to do this, don't I? This is for druids. You know what? Fuck wizards. Wizards don't get this spell. Fuck it. Druid only. Yeah, well, sorcerer? Yes, sorcerers can get it. Why not? And artificers? Sure. Why not? Artificers get this spell. Fuck it. Fuck wizards. All my homies hate me. Nah, actually, I like wizard. Wizards is my favorite base game class. Then again, the only two classes I like from the base game are wizard and cleric, and I've played a cleric once, and I don't want to do it again because clerics are very samey. They have a spell list that's very good, but all the good ones you have to pick them, and yeah. Playing a death cleric was good fun though. Because the channel divinity, boy howdy, is it good fun. There is a lot of fun to be had with there was a lot of fun to be had with a clockwork amulet. A very high wisdom, and inflict wounds, and a familiar. There is a lot of fun to be had. I'll tell you now. Touch, lasts 1 minute. Make a melee spell attack against the target on a hit. On a hit, the target speed is reduced by the target speed reduced by 5 feet, and it the creature rolls a d4. If the target object is medium or smaller, I like this spell. This is very simple. You just poke somebody, and they're like, "Oh god, I feel dizzy and woozy," and so it's cool. I don't think it probably should, to be fair. I think it's already very good. And I think using it on creatures is probably going to be something that's going to wear out fairly quickly in its usefulness. Because I think the slow scaling could be very cheesable. I want to try and avoid that. But what was I? Lost my place. Where is it? The first one is this shouldn't affect saves, I don't think. Target makes a wisdom saving at the end of each subsequent turn, ending this spell. The target becomes brittle in age, getting vulnerability damage for the duration. If the target is large or larger, yeah, okay. So you can't just touch like the wall of a castle and the whole wall becomes brittle. It's you pick a 5-foot area, which is still pretty useful because you know you can battering ram that specific point and break it into pieces, which would be very good. Yeah, I kind of like this. I think it's turned out kind of cool. What else is on my list? Oh, I need to put. Let's see, we've. I think pushing it that far would probably would probably push it into too good for cantrip levels, and I want to keep it as a cantrip. I kind of like that it's fairly like it's fairly low power. I think for me, the reason I would take this cantrip is for this, less so than this. Even if this is actually quite good. Yeah, so I like the object stuff. Okay, right. Now I have a bit of a whack spell. Conjure Dragon. Right, so we're off to an interesting start. Let me go read the Conjure Spells. Now I know the Conjure Spells are largely very bad. That is mostly a failure in design, I find. They're all massively overcosted for what they actually do. Like, a good number of them have a casting time of a minute, which is just the most useless pile of shite on the planet. It really sucks. Now, this is a druid and wizard spell, if ever there was one. So we can go with that. They are largely a bastard, but this one is you summon a big dragon, so it's not so bad, you know. There's only so many dragons. I think the main problem with the Conjure Spells is that you summon a bunch of creatures and they all are terrible. Like, they're all just useless, is the actual problem. Like, they slow the game down, but that's because that's on the player. If the player casting the spell is slowing the table down, then it is on them to speed up their casting of the spell. I think the way the spell is worded, telling the DM that they should have all the stats, yeah, that's fucking stupid. But if you have the expectation at your table that if you want to cast a Conjure spell, you need to know what you're casting, you need to know what you're summoning, Otherwise, don't cast it. And generally, you just shouldn't cast them anyway, because they're all shit. But, that's a whole other thing. You summon a dragon creature of challenge rating. Let me just check, like, where the dragons actually sit. Like, what CR do the adult dragons sit at? $14, $16, $17. Yeesh. References a bestiary. I think generally they're not. Yeah, sure thing. Let's have a look at the dragons. I may find that this just doesn't work, which is fine. At the end of the day, if this doesn't work the way I want it to, it doesn't matter too much. Oh, there's a dragon tortoise in Candlekeep Mysteries. That's really funny. It still has a steam breath though, for some reason. It's kind of dumb, but oh well. Right, the adult dragons cap at CR 17, which is where you get the adult red dragon. Right, we're gonna go in hard and see if we have to pull back. Right, I'm just gonna go big, and then see where I have to go. Obeys any verbal. A summon dragon cannot take legendary actions. Summon dragon cannot take legendary actions or lair actions. If it has them. Let's just take a look at shape change real quick. Oh, pretty good, pretty good. We made Age, this is a cantrip. Death Throws is a first level necromancy spell. Gamma Burst is a 7th level evocation, and Mass Revivify, which is also a 7th level. Oh no, it's is Revivify necromancy? That's probably something I should look at. I'm fairly certain it's necromancy. It is. Okay. And I'm currently doing something accursed here. Okay, no, legendary actions and lair actions are lowercase. I just want to check something real quick. Dragons with regional effects. When you cast the spell, if the dragon has a lair with regional effects, those effects take place centered on the point in which you cast the spell, lasting in the area for 1d6 for 2d for 1d6 weeks. For 1d6 days. Alternatively, you may touch a dragon when you cast this spell. If you do, instead of summoning a dragon, the dragon links itself with you. If you cast this spell again in the next year, if it's willing. I like this. I like this a lot. This is very cool. This feels like a 9th level spell, you know? Like, is it better than shape-changing into a dragon? Well, I suppose shape-change is an 8th level spell, isn't it? Which I frequently just forget. Like, that is weird to think that shape-change... Wait, no. No, it is a 9th level spell. How the fuck are people... Hang on. I must be thinking of a different spell. Yeah, no, I'm just wondering how people keep wishing into it. There's definitely. I mean, I knew I was thinking of shape change. I just was convinced that it was an 8th level spell because so many people have wished shape changed recently. But evidently that's not the case, and they shouldn't have been able to do that. But oh well, doesn't really matter that much. I think for this there's like turning into a dragon. I think there's different sort of things here, right? Because unless you have a dragon friend who like specifically wants to show up and help you every time you cast the spell, and every so often they might be like, no, fuck off. You know, don't trifle with me. You know, you will summon me for this task and this task only in your most dire hours. Nice, nice. Trifling gnome. Oh, trifling gnome. Okay, right. Eridar, Lord of the Trifling Gnome. I really like this spell. I think this spell's very dumb, but I do really like it. They are showing all the Lorehold cards. Holy shit. Let's check the other Conjure Spells. Druid, Ranger. Weighill is Cleric. Druid, Wizard. Druid, Warlock. Interesting. Mine are Druid, Wizard. Druid, yeah, they're mostly... Druids get all of them, and I like the idea of the Druid going, yo, Dragon, what up? And then you summon him, and he shows up. But don't lose concentration on the spell, or the dragon might get real pissed off with you. Or might just leave, you know? Yeah, I think this spell's really cool. I like it. I like it a lot. I think it certainly beats out the problem of all of the conjure spells being utter shite. By being exceedingly good. Like if you have a friend, you know, if you have a gold dragon friend, then congratulations. You know, you what CR is an adult gold dragon? I assume 17. Yeah. If you've made friends with an adult gold dragon, then you go bam, adult gold dragon. I summon you. Like that's pretty good. But Conjure Dragon. That's a spell idea that has been executed. Where is it on my list of ideas? Here we go. Right. Now I can just take these off the list. It probably makes more sense. Charm Dragon. I mean, you got Charm Monster for that. You've got Charm Monster for that. But sadly, you can't Charm Monster and then link with the Dragon Monster that's friendly, because Charm Monster will end before you would go and summon it later on. Which is the idea that they have to be willing when you summon them as well. Oh, I see where this is going. Saucy. Very saucy indeed. So I have in my notes that I think I wrote like the other night is that one thing Doctor Strange did where he put the time stone in a fake star. I don't know, level spell, what I just said. That's in my notes. So we're gonna make that. I actually really like that. It's a really cool thing. I think it's probably one of my favorite like little things that I just kind of missed from having seen Infinity War like once. He reaches up and he plucks it just out of like a star. I just thought he just plucked it out of thin air, but no, there is a star in the background that he takes it from and it stops existing, and that's sick as hell. I fucking love that. It's so cool. Like, it is kind of Dromage's instant summons, but that spell's fucking terrible, so it's like a 6th level spell. Yeah, it's a ritual, but you have to expend 1,000 gold every time you want to get your fucking object back. This spell fucking sucks. Why is Dromage's instant summon so shit? Oh, I don't know. I'll probably come back to this idea another time, because it is just Dromage's instant summons, but usable. Which, you know, is nice, but I think realistically, the thing you're supposed to do is to make Dromage's instant summons not, like, the worst fucking spell on the planet. If it costs, like, you know, 50 gold or something, it wouldn't be that bad. It wouldn't matter that much, but it's 1,000 gold per object every time you want to. You can summon it once, and once you've summoned it, that's it. You can't do it again, which is obscene. What else is on my list? So there's Dome of Protection and Really Big Dome. Now this is pod racing. I think I'm going to make a Really Big Dome. I'm going to call it something else, but Oh my god, I just thought of the best possible name for it. Holy shit. Otaluke's Omega Sphere. Or like that? Like Omega Sphere? Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's amazing. Ninth level abjuration, casting time, 1 action, concentration up to an hour. For wizards and I don't know, probably something else. Sigma Sphere. Otaluke's Omega Sphere. I don't like the space because it's like Otaluke's Omega Sphere. It's like, no, Otaluke's Omega Sphere. Now this is pod racing. This is them's be names. It's good stuff. Right, let's look at Otaluke spells and see who gets them. Otaluke. Oh, there's only 2 in base. I always forget about that. There's like 1 million in my home game. Wizard. Artificer. Yeah, it's just a wizard spell. Oh. Womp womp. Made like 2 9th level spells today, which is really funny. Right, wizard. I'll come up with this later on, but you begin to form an impenetrable dome of protection, or impenetrable sphere of protection around you. As an intangible field of bluish energy. At a rate of 1 foot per second. Be a 600-foot radius by the end, I think. 60 times... or... 3,600 foot, 1 foot per second. Yeah, so 60 feet in a minute. Yeah, 3,600 feet. That's like a mile, right? That's like half a mile? It's like just over half a mile. Let's make it 2 feet per second. At a rate of 2 feet per second. Of glass-like energy. A sphere of incredible protection around you. The sphere begins an intangible field of blue energy. The sphere solidify the sphere ceases growing, becoming a permanent the following effects effects that you choose when you cast the spell. Sphere of impassable sphere. The sphere transforms into a solid wall of glass-like substance. Now let's go take a look at a solid. But the sphere is immune to all damage and a creature. Oh, what is the spell that Disintegrate burns a 10-foot wide hole in? I thought it was Wall of Force, but Disintegrate immediately destroys a Wall of Force. Oh, okay, no, hang on. The spell automatically disintegrates a large or smaller non-magical object or a creation of magical force. If the target is a huge or larger object or a creation of force, the spell disintegrates a 10-foot cube portion of it. The magic item. Oh, okay, right. Ooh, that might be the one, actually. Prismatic Wall. No. I think it's just Disintegrate itself specifically lists that. Damage. Ugh. Fuck. Damage dealt by the... Otaluk's Sphere or Wall of Force spells. Impassable Sphere. illusory sphere. When the spell ends, you choose an appearance. Creature outside of the sphere sees only the appearance chosen by you. And how I need to look at like hallucinatory terrain or something. To creatures outside of the sphere. The interior of the sphere looks, sounds, and smells in a way that you choose when you cast the spell. Thus, a city can vanish into a small woodland or a crevasse or a great citadel can appear a barren hillside. You may choose for this illusion to persist inside of the sphere. Does this work? To creatures outside of the sphere, the interior of the sphere looks, sounds, and smells in the way you choose from when you cast a spell. The tactile characteristics of the terrain are unchanged, so creature ends. Yeah, so that is could have obliteration sphere, which well, it could certainly be interesting, that's for sure. Yeah, this is good fun. I like this spell. I kind of hang on. I do also like the idea of an obliteration sphere. There we go, that fixes it. Obliteration sphere. The damage is very low. I'm gonna bump that up in a second. For every minute you spent concentrating on the spell, what does that cap at? Cap's pretty high, so maybe not this many dice. Maybe not this much. Even then, we're still looking at 130 d6, I think, which is maybe a little bit much. Maybe. It's pretty fucking cool though. So it's not exactly the most the easiest spell to cast. That's for sure. You basically have to oh, somebody has messaged me. I'll need to respond to that in a bit. Just open some stuff in the meantime. Yeah, that caps out at just see how much damage that is. Does an average of about 460 odd damage, which is maybe a little much, you know? Maybe just a tad more than is feasible, but I guess it would be a case of when you see the spell coming, you need to get to the center as quickly as possible, right? You need to get to the center and break their concentration before they can trigger the spell. Say Illusory Sphere is just kind of like a Mirage Arcane, but yeah, I think hang on, your speed is 0 and you cannot gain bonus, a bonus. Just hang on. What is the general wording on that? How does one? Speed is 0. I'm trying to think of a spell that specifically drops your speed to 0. Core Lightning, Catapult. No. Enthrall, maybe? Or Confusion? What are the spells that reduce your speed to 0? There are ones that do what I'm thinking of, though. I can't find it, though. Hang on. Let's open the old PHB. It's a PDF. Here we... Oh, Abjure Enemy. That's the one. And it can't gain benefit from any bonus to its speed. I think Illusory Sphere kind of steps on Mirage Arcane's toes a bit. No, I think it's not so bad. I think it's probably okay. There, it doesn't scale quite as ludicrously. It scales up to 70 d6, which is still amazing, but not, you know, does 200 damage as opposed to like 250 damage as opposed to like a lot. I think it was like 460 or something. As an action on your turn, you may end the spell early. Right. So if you lose concentration, the spell doesn't just take effect immediately. I'm going to 1 mile radius, just blast of what have you. Yeah, I think it needs a material cost, but otherwise I actually kind of like this spell. I think it's kind of cool. Verbal somatic material we're looking at, I think, a crystal orb. A large gemstone, or large orb made from say you get like this orb. It's like big old emerald or something, and you hold it and you break it, and then the spell vroom, starts to come out. An impassable sphere is the most, sort of applicable. Obliteration sphere is for bad guys. Like, as a player, it's not really an instance where you're actually going to be able to cast this. There is probably a way to cheese it, but I suppose, yeah, there's the from the point at which you cast. I'm trying to think of like all the ways that people can cheese this with like banishment and teleportation. The spell ends if you ever leave. Spell ends if you ever leave the sphere. Well, that's something I should look at actually. Where's Wall of Force? There. I think the spell's really cool, and I don't think it can be cheesed now, because if you blink, you go to the ethereal plane, and thereby the spell ends. If one of your buddies plane shifts you somewhere, if someone banishes you so that you can maintain, well, you're incapacitated when you're banished, so you don't get that. But I don't think there's a way for you to cheese Obliteration Sphere now. You have to do the whole thing, which I don't think is doable. So, good. I actually really like the spell. I think it's really cool. But yeah, from that, we have made Age, this cantrip. We've made Death Throw, first level Necromancer. There's a lot of very experimental spells. Oh, that's true. Obliteration Spear, and then somebody else gates them in. That is definitely a way of doing it. But I think in that instance, 2 9th level spells for that price. Not to mention that the other person would have to also get out. Yeah, I think gate is the only efficient way of doing that. Because you'd have to hold something in place for an hour. And if it's just like a guy, then that's overkill. And if it's like some high-level demon or whatever, they're gonna have plenty of ways of just leaving. So, like, namely, you know, you can't restrain a demon; they'll just teleport away. You can't like, yeah, gate is at the very end of the cast is the easiest way of doing it, and even then, it's very risky because you need to make sure that demon doesn't just have counterspell or whatever. Like, cause if the DM turns around and says, when the wizard who just gated the demon in, there's that period where they have to get the other 9th level caster has to leave the area through like a plane shift or whatever, and the demon needs to not be able to kill you as well, break your concentration, or just, you know, leave. There are a lot of different ways that gate's the only way to do it, but even then it is very much a gamble as to whether it works or not, which I think is probably a good thing. Like, if you base an entire encounter around that, like this demon trying to like stop this high-level wizard who just cast their 9th level spell from getting away, whilst they themselves want to leave the area or get to the center and kill the person casting the spell. You need to spend your action to end the spell now, like to invoke the effect. But yeah, it would be. Let me go read gate real quick. Just to make sure that gate is concentration for a minute. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if yeah, I think even that is very messy. There's a lot of ways and that could go wrong. Like very, very wrong at that. So yeah, I think I think it's probably okay. I'll have to look into it some more, but I think it's fine. Yeah, I think the simplest spell we made was Gamba Burst. I suppose Mass Revivify is pretty simple as well. It's just you know, big AoE res. It's Mass Revivify. It's very simple. But there's a lot of there are a lot of very experimental spells here today, so certainly some that may end up getting the old axe. We made a cantrip, a 1st level spell, 2 7th level spells, and 2 9th level spells. So it's certainly interesting. But either way, I'm gonna head out now because I need to go get food. I'm very hungry. But yeah, I will potentially stream later on this week. It really depends what's going on. Archive update comes out tomorrow. Archive Esoteric Secrets version 2 and the new preview, which is free. That comes out tomorrow about midday BST. So do a conversion for those of you that care. Let's you can find links to everything on my portfolio over here. But yeah, I'm gonna head out now. I'm not sure if I'm gonna stream later on this week, but I will definitely be streaming. I'll be starting a Heart Gold on Sunday, so that's gonna be cool. I'm quite looking forward to that. But yeah, I will see you guys later.